Hi everyone, it's Brett here from Metropole. Well, you're ready to take the next step and buy a home, or potentially your first investment property, or maybe even your next investment property. And naturally, the market's quite hot at the moment. You're probably missing out and there's a lot happening. So you probably want to get someone working for you. And many people at the moment are looking for a buyer's agent. They're going online and researching for buyer's agents. They're doing their research and wanting to understand how and who can potentially help them and who's the best and in the best position to help them. And quite often they're going to be searching who's the best buyer's agent in Brisbane or a Melbourne or a Sydney to try and come out and get on top of who that may be, so that they can work in their best interest. But I just want to put a buyer beware out there, because a lot of those sites aren't probably what they seem. And what I mean by that is if you scroll right down the bottom, there's usually a disclaimer down the bottom that can actually tell you who's putting that website together, how they're doing it. Quite often the agents that are on that website are actually paying to be on that website. They're paying a service or a subscription. So it's not an independent resource. Potentially they're not paying anything, but they may be giving a commission to the people who run the website. I know there's a lot of sites like that on Facebook and on the internet as well. So anyone can just put your name down. The last thing is that the reviews and the people who are saying they're the best are not the customers and consumers. And I think that's really, really important to understand, to get an independent, unbiased view. So I put together 5 tips that I believe you should look for and what I would look for in a buyer's agent. And I've purchased through a buyer's agent before, and these are some of the things I look for. The first thing is experience. You just can't beat experience. Having 5 or 10 years in a market. If you've read the book by Malcolm Gladwell called Outliers, he talks about the 10,000 hour rule. He believes to become an expert, at something, you've got to have 10,000 hours experience in that field, not, a bit of sales, bit of this, bit of that. It's in that field as a buyer's agent. So that's the first thing, get the experience right. If they've got the experience, it'll lead to the second thing, a strong database and network of agents. In this market, if your buyer's agent isn't showing you every property for sale and not just the ones on market, they're probably doing you a disservice and you've got the wrong person. You need to be looking at off-market opportunities, pre-market opportunities, and different opportunities rather than just sitting on realestate.com and waiting. The next thing is I really believe and passionate about investing in property. I've got a successful portfolio myself, so I would be wanting to work with someone who also has a successful portfolio. They've bought properties in those areas and bought properties in those locations. They know the areas very, very, very well, and they've got skin in the game. And I think that's a critical factor to actually understand the emotions, the roller coaster that you're going to go through, because they've been through it themselves and potentially they've already invested in those areas themselves. They've lived and breathed that as well. The next thing is I'd be looking for a specialist, someone, as I said before, who's had 10,000 hours in 10 kilometres from Brisbane or a Melbourne or a Sydney, in those pockets. They're not buying from, the Gold Coast to the Sunshine Coast, out to Toowoomba, all over the place. You don't get a chance to specialise and understand markets and the perspective that goes on those markets. So that's the next thing. And finally, finding a buyer's agent that works in your best interest. Sure, there might be, agents that get a commission and a kickback. I know sales agents claim to be buyer's agents these days, but they can't offer you every property on the market and every property for sale. And likewise, even some buyer's agents, who can really hold up properties to 3 or 4 different people. That's generally a sign as well. So they're probably my 5 tips. Get someone with experience, someone who's been doing it for 10,000 hours, not just one day they're an accountant, the next day they're working out of their car as a buyer's agent. Make sure you've got someone with a strong network. They're a successful property investor themselves. They specialise in a certain area or location and have done for a long time. And finally, someone who works in your best interest to work alongside you to maximise the results. They're my tips for today. Thanks for watching.